realizing I need to put a shirt on if I'm going to grab myself some lunch, because Indonesia or not, it's still no shirt, no shoes, no service. So, but I have looked over it too, and unfortunately, not going to get a lot in the way of local cuisine or anything like that, and certainly not street food. This is a resort hotel, 5 stars, the whole 9 yards. They're catering to a Western palate, and so they're not going to get too terribly adventurous. Like, one of the places is Mediterranean, which you might as well translate as Italian. That's fine, I suppose, but it seems odd in a place like this. At least the other is Asian, so there might be something reasonably local. So as you might guess, I'm going to settle on the Asian place. I had a little trouble getting in, not because there was no place to get in, but as you can see, it's open basically on all sides except right behind me where the kitchen is. So I was standing out there for a bit. But now, I'm just looking at their menu. I can order 2 things, basically either an appetizer and a main course, or a main course and a dessert. And I have to admit to being somewhat indifferent about just about everything here. I think there's a dessert that appeals. And while I understand that it's a misprint on here, I can't get past the whole stir-fried beef with oyster sauce and fried holy basil leaf. I'm assuming it's holly, but it's still, I can't help but tempt fate. I think I'm just gonna go with that and see where it goes. This has next to nothing to do with being in a restaurant or traveling or food or anything like that, other than being in a restaurant by oneself like this. There is no conversation at the table, and all you can do is listen to everybody else's conversation. I mean, I suppose this is how top flight spies get their info. Most of the time I just feel like I'm eavesdropping, but there's nothing for me to say to the person who's not here at the table. And I will admit the camera makes a pretty poor substitute, but it is what it is. It does make the wait for the food a little less enjoyable. Thought you might want to know. You're missed, honey. And here I was just about to comment on the fact that they did give me an appetizer of sorts in the form of some edamame, but they then proceeded to bring out the main course almost immediately. So I haven't actually gotten into these. I don't know quite how salty or savory they were. Or they don't know how salty or savory they are. So let's find out. Actually, a little less so than back home. Yeah, a fair amount less salty. And there's not much more else to it. So, anyway, let's take a look at the beef pot here. Not sure what is supposed to be the holy basil leaf. This looks more like bok choy, which is something I'd expect out of this kind of cuisine. There's sesame in here, and fairly generous with the meat. So, and of course there's carrots and the like. Fairly straightforward. I won't go so far as to call it basic, but it's very straightforward, and there's not a lot of adventuresomeness. There's not a lot of adventuresomeness into this particular meal. Just a hint of sweetness. Very savory. I mean, your rice is straightforward, but I suppose you're supposed to mix those two together. Carrots, too, are straightforward. And this, like I said, looks like bok choy. And it doesn't really come apart. So, Gotta eat it on one go, I guess. Kind of have to suck it up just like Asian noodles, really. And I've never gotten to the point where I feel comfortable slurping them up. And that goes double for the vegetables. They're all right. I mean, they're vegetables. Oh, there's some more in here, actually. There's more like the base of the thing. And again, you get the whole thing all the way from the bottom. Quite an interesting eat. Anyway. Yeah, there's something familiar about this, but then again, it did say oyster sauce, so it's very much like a Chinese restaurant menu item. That last bite was a little fatty, but again, that's where the flavor is, isn't it? There's just this hint in the back of one's throat where you taste a certain spiciness. I don't know if it's capsaicin, what you'd get from a pepper or something like that. And it's, definitely not strong, but it's like calling from the back, hey there, I'm here. Just to remind you that isn't bland or innocuous in any way. I mean, it's still flavorful even aside from that. But then it has this little, not so much a punch as a nudge. So you feel it. Mm-hmm. There we go again. I really should know better than to try and talk with my mouth full. But as I'm the only one making conversation, there's this feeling like I both have to eat and talk at the same time. It's a bit of a shame, but that's how it is. I probably should stop at this point because I basically covered all the flavors of this particular dish. And it's really a nuisance to try and eat edamame one-handed. So let me get back to you when we have the dessert. All right, that one might be a little more special. I should have mentioned, the beef has the texture and consistency of pot roast rather than, say, the thin slices that I'm used to of a Chinese restaurant. But that doesn't change the fact that it was good enough that I finished every last bit. I mean, these last few grains of rice are a little bit of a challenge to try and pick up. Really more so than they're worth, especially with chopsticks. And especially, I'm trying to do this while filming myself. Anyone who's a veteran user of this stuff has got to be laughing at this. And, I wouldn't say that I blame them. There we go. I got one grain of rice. Let's see if I can film myself getting one grain of rice again. There you go. One grain of rice. It didn't stay. Brilliant. All right, there we go. One more. Yeah, at this point, it's just, okay, well, at least it's on the chopstick. Thank heavens for the oyster sauce. It's more work than it's worth, but definitely maintain my membership in the Clean Plate Club, so there you go. On to dessert, yeah? And so this is dessert, honey. They call them banana fritters with a palm sugar syrup and a homemade honey ginger ice cream. So
This at least will be a unique dining experience, I suppose. Let's give this a try.
All right. I don't even know this is meant to be finger food or not. It's a little bit on the hot side, which I guess shouldn't be all that unexpected coming out of the deep fryer like it is. Let's try this palm syrup. I would have expected a little bit more thickness to it, both in terms of just consistency and it just be cloyingly sweet like maple syrup or something like that. It's not. I mean, it is sweet, very much so, but it isn't. You don't bite into it and go, ooh, that's really sweet. It's just, it is in a sort of, the word that comes to mind is gentle sort of way. The batter is thin and light. It doesn't feel like I'm eating a heavily fried dish. It is fried. You get the crispiness of the batter. The banana inside almost tastes like it's melting in your mouth, which is weird because it's a fairly solid fruit, all things considered. Unless you get it when it's overripe, which, I don't know, it's a little mushy, I guess. I'm not sure. I mean, it works this way because of the whole melt in your mouth deal to it. And there are some grains of actual sugar on here of some sort. I mean, it is, I certainly hope it's not sand. But you see it right here. I can't show it to you because the thing's dripping. You can see it. There you go. You can see the little grains on the top there. I should probably try the ice cream before it melts. Which I poured my glass of sparkling water and the ice has disappeared before I'd had a chance to try it. Okay, the honey lends the sweetness, but it doesn't have a lot of flavor of honey. The ginger is quite... No, it's not that... Again, it's gentle. It's not screaming that it's there. It's just there, waiting for you to notice it. If I wasn't told what it was, I might have difficulty. I mean, like, what's that flavor? I've eaten dishes where I'm like, you've got ginger in this, don't you? This wouldn't necessarily be one of them, and I don't know if I think that's a good or bad thing. There's a sort of feeling like you almost want it to announce its presence as long as it is honey and ginger. This is very subtle. A lot more subtle than it has any real need to be. Maybe the local palate is such where too much is really too much. Who knows? I won't say I taste vanilla in there, but it does feel like it's got a vanilla base to it, rather than entirely being just honey and ginger. If that was all there was to this, both of those flavors would be more prominent, or at least I'd expect them to be. But either way, it's tasty enough that I think I'm going to just stick my banana in here. That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, that didn't work as well in practice as I thought it was gonna. Yeah. Let's go back to the palm syrup. I've never had palm syrup before. I don't know what it tastes like. And I'm pretty sure I'll never be able to get my hands on it again. For me to find out what it would taste like in other contexts. I imagine it would taste really good on banana pancakes. But as it is, it was all very good. But it's also this feeling like, well, you know, I'm not going to be brokenhearted if I never try it again either. I've been there. I know what it tastes like. I know that I enjoyed it, but I can't break my head over trying to recreate this once I get back home, and I'm okay with that. I don't know what to say about that. It sounds like I'm being very dismissive, and I don't want to say that. It's just, there is sometimes where you know you're not going to have something again, and you feel a great sense of regret. There are other times where you know you're not going to have it again, and you feel a great sense of relief. This falls somewhere in the middle of that. Closer, I suppose, to regret than relief, but you know, relief is a really bad thing to experience after eating anything with that kind of mindset. To say it's okay would be to do it disservice. It is good. It's just the effort and the trouble and probably the expense in trying to recreate it just wouldn't be worth trying to do once I get back to the States. It's a cost-benefit analysis. If these things were available, yeah. I'd be like, oh yeah, we should do this again. But you know, even the fact that it's so subtle, I'd almost want to try and do a honey ginger-based ice cream, but make a lot more of those two ingredients. Make them cry out to the user. Except I don't really know that much about making ice cream, so I leave that to somebody else to try. All right, that will clear one's palate nicely. And I think that will do me for this meal and for the meal I'm eating here in Indonesia. Our next stop isn't until the Philippines, at which point, who knows, maybe I will get to try something where I will feel relief knowing that I'll never have balut again. Probably not. I'm not going to seek it out, but if it confronts me, well, it would certainly garner views, wouldn't it? Anyway, I've still got a couple more hours here at this resort, so I'm going to wander around once I'm done with this and give you a few more impressions and get into the ocean or the pools or wherever. And I'll talk to you later. Till then, take care. Keep an eye on me. Wish me luck. I'll need it. Yeah, definitely need that too. One irony about this restaurant is that it calls itself Maguro, which is to say tuna in Japanese. And I didn't see any tuna at all on the menu. Although, to be fair, our guide has said that the waters off of Bali are excellent for catching tuna, which would explain the name. At the same time, it doesn't explain why they don't include the menu. Anyway, one other interesting bit is that just as I was about to leave, they approached me and reminded me that I needed to sign for everything. I'd given them a voucher certificate that supposedly paid for the meal, and didn't know what to do afterwards, so I just walked out. Almost did a dine and dash, however, inadvertently. Oh, that would have been an experience, that's for sure. But never intended to do that.
So yes, I went back and signed for everything, and I hope that that's all we really need to do. In the meantime, let's head back to the ocean because I think we both need to get back there, don't we?